I'm Scott Schemmel from Sports Realm, and we are back. This is the Sports Realm podcast. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about the NBA trade deadline, which just passed at 3 p.m. yesterday. A lot of big trades happened today, and we're going to start with the most active team, which was the Orlando Magic. They traded away their two stars, so Severin, take us into the action.
Yeah, with the Orlando Magic, them and the Houston Rockets were the two teams that everybody was saying they're going to decimate their roster. We heard Woj tweeting about all the kind of rumors that were going on, and the Magic delivered on that promise as they got rid of Nikola Vucevic, their franchise cornerstone, as well as Aaron Gordon. When we look at Vucevic, he's an all-star who's having a career year, shooting 40% from three, averaging 24, 11, balling out this year as an all-star. But he's 30 years old and he doesn't fit the Magic's timeline. So at first, it was kind of unlikely that he would get traded, but the Bulls said with Zach LaVine needs some help. We want to make the playoffs, so
Yeah.
they made the trade, and so they ended up giving up Otto Porter and some picks to get Nikola Vucevic, which was a big deal. And Max, how do you see Chicago's outlook with Nikola Vucevic on their roster?
I really love this move for Chicago. They finally said, hey, Zach Levine, we're going to get you some help. We want you to be here, and we want to become a successful team after we have lacked success for the last 5-6 years. And they went out and they got themselves their second all-star player in the center position, which they've that's been something they've lacked since Joakim Noah has left. And I really like this pickup. They also did get rid of Otto Porter's massive contract in the trade, which was also another W for them.
Make the salaries work. And then they lost Wendell Carter, which they're going all in on offense, and you think they have two really talented offensive players, but defensively, like they're a duo that can compete with some of the best duos offensively. But when you look at both sides of the ball, I don't really see that duo being too elite right now. What about you, Scotty?
Yeah, I don't see them being too elite either, but I think that this was a pretty good trade for the Magic, actually, because you look at the two first round picks, that's helpful for their future, and they traded away two stars. They don't want to have a future now. They want to have a future. So that's why they got Wendell Carter Jr. and the two first round picks. Otto Porter Jr. is just there in the package, but I mean, I just think it works well for the Magic and the Bulls because they need to win now to keep their stars. So I think overall it's a good trade for both teams.
Yeah, no losers there. The Magic, it's pretty obvious they have no interest in winning right now, so you might as well get rid of your best player, get some assets while you can.
All right, so then let's talk about the Magic's other moves with Aaron Gordon. He's going to the Nuggets.
Yeah, so someone who I guess in the tweets was considered a star, which, Aaron Gordon, he's kind of been a player who's frustrated. I guess a lot of teams are banking on his untapped potential because he is an athlete and he
Yeah.
has shown promise. His numbers aren't quite star level at all right now, but hopefully he'll be able to find a role with Denver, which he was traded to, and be able to like fill in that Jeremy Grant role that had it last year. Which they offered Jeremy Grant 3 years, $60 million, who ended up leaving, and he's putting up numbers in Detroit, but
Yeah.
it's obvious that Denver did not want to lose him. They wanted to give up that much money for him, so they kind of really just wanted to go for Aaron Gordon just to fill in that hole because they didn't like how the lineup was looking without him. And they ended up giving Gary Harris, RJ Hampton, and a first round pick, which is a good haul for Orlando. Gary Harris showed promise early in his career, but the last couple of seasons he's really struggled, with injuries to really find his groove again. But RJ Hampton, a future first round pick, you have to like the haul considering Aaron Gordon made it clear that he wanted out.
I want to know, do you think that was worth it for the Nuggets? Because that's a lot to give up for Aaron Gordon.
Yeah, when you look at it, I guess they gave up Gary Harris and RJ Hampton. Gary Harris has kind of lost value over the last couple of years just because his numbers have dropped so much.
Yeah.
You that trade 2 years ago, you're crazy because Gary Harris
Yeah.
was averaging 17 a game, a young player who could play both sides of the ball. But I don't love the trade for Denver. But again, if they feel they need that Jeremy Grant role, they're trying to win now. So losing a RJ Hampton in a first round pick, it hurts, but they're really focused on now and building with that core into the future.
Max, how do you see this trade?
Yeah, I like this trade for both teams. Both teams do end up getting what they want. Denver gets a player that'll bolster their spot as a contender, and then the Magic do get youth and then a draft pick in it. So I think both teams achieved what they're looking for without nobody got fleeced here. I think that both teams are going to walk away from this trade happy in the future.
Okay, well, let's move on to the Miami Heat, which is probably like the second most active team of the day. And in my opinion, they got the biggest deal of the day, and they got the best out of what they traded away. So the Heat are getting Victor Oladipo, and the Rockets are getting Kelly Olynyk, Avery Bradley, and a pick swap. And I feel like, personally, for me, I just feel like this is a steal for the Miami Heat. Everyone, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a little mini Carmelo Anthony situation when Carmelo made it clear he wanted to go to the New York Knicks. He said, come get me. And the Knicks ended up doing it, but they gave up a ton. Obviously, they didn't regret it because Carmelo Anthony was an absolute star in New York.
Yeah.
But with Victor Oladipo, he said, come get me Miami. Miami said, all right, we'll come get you. The Rockets had no interest in keeping him because he made it clear he didn't want to be there. And we all know the kind of struggles they've had. They went on a 20-game losing streak. Their season is over by now. But with Oladipo, you give up Avery Bradley, Kelly Olynyk, and a pick swap, which Avery Bradley, he's a nice player to have, especially in the postseason. You know, he played well last year, but although he wasn't in the bubble. But Victor Oladipo, he's someone that has shown star potential. He's still coming back from his injury, but he's still shown that he can hoop and he can get buckets. And Miami has another option. It'll be interesting how they want to incorporate him into the starting lineup or not.
Yeah.
They have Tyler Herro there who hasn't been starting every game either, but it's a loaded backcourt and they have a lot of weapons. So it definitely doesn't hurt because they didn't lose too much depth and they bring in a guy who can fill it up. What about you, Max?
Yeah, I really like the Heat had a not good start to the season as compared to their finals appearance in the bubble. So Pat Riley said, we're going to go out and make some moves. They get a really good deal for Victor Oladipo. And then they're also emerged as the front runners to sign LaMarcus Aldridge after he's been bought out with the Spurs as of today. So Pat Riley's making moves, looking to make sure that they're going to be another top contender in the East again. Yeah. As for Houston, they definitely got robbed. It's rough. The charts of what they've gotten out of James Harden is kind of sad. It's 4 first-round picks, 5 pick swaps, and then nobody really else in those trades is James Harden caliber. Yeah. So they're going to be hitting the rebuild. They didn't say that John Wall wouldn't be bought out. They're going to look to continue with him on the team for a little bit. So I don't know what
they're. There's so much money. John Wall's not going to give up all that.
Well, I think that that we're gonna see a version of Oladipo where it's kind of like, I feel like it's like a Blake Griffin type of situation where you didn't see him dunk for however long it was, like 2 years or whatever it was, and it's a situation like that where Oladipo, I mean, I know he's coming off injury, but he didn't give much effort in Houston. Like he just wasn't in it. I think he's gonna be rejuvenated. He's gonna be excited. He's been wanting to go to Miami for some time now, so I think when he gets down there, he's gonna be excited. We're gonna see some old Victor Oladipo action. I think he's just gonna pop off and go crazy. I really do.
Going back to Florida.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yes, sir, he is. All right, so Severin, take us into the Jeff Teague trade and those details with Boston Celtics and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, with the Celtics, I mean, not really. The main thing is the takeaway is with the Magic, they're also unloading. They have a 20-point-a-game scorer in Evan Fournier, who eventually reports came out as for 2 second-round picks, but salaries and stuff didn't really make sense. So I guess we knew that more stuff was going to be involved. But yeah, it turns out the Celtics were able to secure Evan Fournier and Mo Wagner and Luke Cornett, which I guess the main things, they got rid of Daniel Tice, which is going to hurt because he's been a very important piece of the rotation for a long time.
A little bit.
What did you say?
I said I feel like he's kind of important for right now for what you guys have because, I mean, he's been growing. I mean, I think he's been growing a little bit over the past few years, and I don't know. Who are you guys going to have at center now?
Yeah, so we have Tristan Thompson and Mo Wagner, which I'm not really a big fan of the move, but, I mean, Danny Ainge, he might know what he's doing. I mean, he must be trying to position for something this offseason. I don't know if he's giving up on the year, but losing Daniel Tice hurt, but bringing in Evan Fournier, a guy who can shoot and relieve some of the pressure off of Jay Watt, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, because they've been asked to do so much scoring. So bringing in that shooter definitely helps, but to me, it does not fill our needs as we need front court depth, and we don't really have it right now. We have a bunch of undersized bigs who will give a lot of effort, but we don't really have anybody who can anchor down the paint, block shots, and get rebounds and score. So I didn't really love the moves by the Celtics, but getting Evan Fournier was definitely a plus.
Well, I gotta ask you. This is not like on topic about what we're discussing, but I gotta know like what's going on with Kemba and what's going on with Boston right now, just overall.
The Celtics.
Yeah. Give us a quick overview.
So I mean, last year we kind of like banked our team on like we had the foursome of Gordon Hayward, Kemba Walker, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, and those four players, our scoring was so balanced. It was just like 4 20-point a game scores. That was a lot to deal with, and we could have two sitting on the bench resting up, and then we just kind of filtered those two in. And we always had basically two people that could go get buckets. Now Kemba Walker's been hurt. Marcus Smart's been hurt. Two of our four most important pieces right now. It's been Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum show, and they're both balling out of their mind right now, especially Jaylen Brown taking a huge leap. And they're scoring efficiently, but they're not really known as playmakers. Their assist numbers are up this year just because they're being forced to have the ball in their hands the whole time.
Yeah.
But it really comes down to is we don't have much playmaking on our squad, and we lack depth. And it hasn't really been addressed. Hopefully Evan Fournier, he doesn't provide much playmaking, but he can shoot. But it's really just a team that completely lacks depth. We have two really, really good young stars. Kemba Walker, who's been inconsistent because he's been hurt. And that's really all we have.
Well, yeah. I hope to see Kemba just get healthy soon and get back to the way he was in Charlotte because I really want to see that for him. But Max, I want to ask you about the playoff Rondo. You know, he's joining playoff P. Max, what do you think about this? Clippers getting Rajon Rondo.
I think this is a trade that the Clippers have wanted to do, or some type of trade like this, because the Clippers' biggest need over the last few years has definitely been a playmaker, and Rondo's going to bring that to the team. He hasn't been healthy all season. Yeah. He's missed a lot of games, but now that he's going to be getting back into the swing of things, I think he's going to come in and deliver the playmaking needs, whether it's starting or off the bench, that whenever he's going to come in. So I think that is a good trade for the Clippers. It's going to be sad seeing Lou Will go, even though he is having a numerical down year from the last few years.
Kind of a big deal. It's like your guys, Lou Will and Montrezl Harrell are both.
The core identity of your team rolling off of having an awesome bench is gone now.
Yeah,
it's in the year.
Gone now. But so Max, if you were the head coach right now, are you going to start Rondo or are you going to give him time? What would you do?
Give him time because Reggie Jackson has been really playing into the starting role that he's been into with Pat Bev and everyone else out. So I think Rondo come off the bench at least until the playoffs. If playoff Rondo turns up though, he'll definitely be a starter.
I just feel like him starting with Kawhi and PG is just going to bring everyone together. I think it could create something nice. Everyone, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm more interested in seeing when it comes playoff time is Rondo closing games, because I mean, Tyronn Lue, we have to see if Rondo's able to gain his trust. Which, I mean, Rondo has gained the trust of a lot of players, a lot of coaches as well, and so it's just interesting to see if he'll be able to, in half a season with not really doing much at all this year with the Atlanta Hawks, he's making money and basically not doing much. I mean, he's definitely a mentor for young players, but coming to the Clippers, he immediately in a situation where he's trying to win a championship, and it'd be interesting to see if he really plays well and gets to close games for the Clippers.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely going to be giving some more effort than if he would have stayed with Atlanta, because Atlanta, you're right, he's just kind of that vet that they bank on just to train the young guys. So let's see. Severin, what other trades do we have? We have George Hill, right? We didn't talk about that.
Yeah, so the Oklahoma City Thunder, they gave up George Hill, and they ended up basically the story of the team is they're still under the process of we're getting rid of every kind of player that doesn't fit a young core timeline, and is getting first round picks. They have 34 picks over the next 7 years.
You have 34 picks in 7 years, 17 firsts, 17 seconds.
What? They're gonna have to figure out how to trade all of them because they can't be signing those rookies every year. not have room on the roster.
First rounders every year that want to play, they can't do that. So they're gonna have to get some time.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
No.
And then the last trade kind of think about is we saw the Nuggets retooling, getting JaVale McGee, Aaron Gordon, trying to shore up that front court. Is the Dallas Mavericks, another team that is not meeting up to the expectations like the Denver Nuggets so far this season. But they added JJ Redick and Nico Melli. JJ Redick's obviously a proven shooter. He's basically a household name just because of how well he's been able to shoot throughout his entire career. Yeah. He's not having a great season. He's kind of having one of his worst seasons of his career. But with a shooter like that, you're always going to want to give him the ball and make sure he gets his touches in. With Luka Doncic, it's just going to be nice being able to basically expand the court even more, just give more room to operate as they have more shooting depth.
Yeah. Do you think that the Pelicans getting James Johnson and do you think that's good for them? Is this trade good for them? I know it's not a big deal. It's just JJ Redick involved in the trade and Nicola Melli. But
I mean, JJ Redick hasn't really played well for them, which is I guess why they were willing to let him go. But I like JJ Redick in New Orleans. He provided an elite shooter, and I think New Orleans needed that. But it'll be interesting to see how it plays out with JJ Redick in Dallas.
Yeah, well, all right. Well, thank you guys for watching. This was our video about the NBA trade deadline. We just focused on the main trades for the day, but we're going to be back to our regular schedule every Tuesday and Friday at 5 p.m. So make sure you like and subscribe. And Max?
Sports Room out.